Happy birthday to Gigi. Happy birthday to Gigi. Happy birthday to Gigi.
Today is my mom's birthday.
Gigi.
And
Happy birthday
unfortunately,
to Gigi.
she's not here with us. She is in where?
America.
No, she's in.
Yes, in America.
She's in heaven.
No, he's in America.
What do you think Gigi would want us to do today? Go out and have fun. Go drink some coffee. So my mom would have been 68 years young today if she was alive. And in honor of her birthday, I want to talk about her life a little bit and how she grew up, because her parents were in the Air Force. My pop-up and grandma Hendricks. My pop-up, he was born in Shreveport, Louisiana. He was an eccentric man, but also very much a hermit. He didn't talk very much. I think he probably was on some ways on the spectrum, because he was never the type of man that I ever could have a full conversation with, but he was very sweet. And when he was 16 years old, he signed up to go fight in World War II, even though he didn't see any combat. He served in World War II, he served in the Korean War and the Vietnam War. And my grandma Hendricks, she was a secretary in the war, and she was very proud of her shorthand. That's the one thing she did back then. You know, they would write shorthand. As their boss would dictate pages or papers to them, they would copy it down, and they knew how to write it quickly with this shorthand that they used to use back in the day before. But my mom grew up, and she was born in Germany, and after that they lived on a military base. They moved around her whole life, so she was used to moving around, living in different states. And eventually they settled down in Maryland, and they lived in a house in Millersville, Maryland. And my mom had 2 older brothers and 2 younger sisters. And my mom was the first to do a lot in her family. So she broke a lot of generational curses, or she exceeded what her family taught her that she could do. Because my grandparents were raised, in the military, grew up in the military. So they just encouraged all of their kids just to go work for the government. And the fact that my mom opened a business and opened several businesses was amazing. And I know that was her sisters really looked up to her. Her oldest brother had a lot of mental illness. He was an alcoholic, and he lived in my grandparents' basement, and my grandma Hendricks really enabled him and his issues, whatever they were. He had his license revoked because of his alcoholism, and my grandma Hendricks would drive him around and drop him off at the shopping mall, and he was so codependent on my grandma, and it was really sad that she enabled him so much. But I guess maybe she knew what had happened to him, and it's a really sad story. He passed away when I was about 13 or 14 years old, and he died in that house, and my grandma found his body. And I'll never forget the day when he died, and my grandma called my mom, and I just heard her yelling and crying, and that was a really horrible time. And because I'm so empathic, that was the first time I ever really went through depression. And I never really liked my uncle Greg, and I thought he was really mean, especially how he yelled at my grandma. But I was really depressed because it was my first real time being confronted with death and the sadness from everybody in the family, because I was picking up on all the emotions and all the mixed emotions. He died of pneumonia, and we think it was probably HIV, and it seemed like there was a lot of secrets that he went to the grave with. And after he passed away, my grandma was really never the same. She used to sing and had a really pretty voice, and after that she got really depressed. But I remember she was a plump lady, and she would sit in her kitchen table, and she kind of would just stare off a lot, and she was very bitter. And when I was young, I loved her. Of course I loved her. She was kind of mean. I would spend the weekends with her, and me and my cousin, I was really close to my cousin Jessica. That was Beverly's daughter, her only child, and Jessica was only 3 months apart from me. So my grandma would chase us with the fly swatter, and we would hide under the bed, and she would beat us. We were probably really bad, so she would hit us with the fly swatter. And I wasn't as close to my grandma Hendricks as I was with my dad's mom, my grandma Hubbard, because my grandma Hubbard was so positive and light-filled and had faith. My grandma Hendricks, she came from South Carolina. She was one of 14 children, and I can't imagine, she was raised poor. Like, my grandfather was poor too. Like, everybody back then was poor, in the 20s and 30s. They faced the Great Depression and World War II. My great-grandmother, my grandma Hendricks's mother, she was an orphan, which is really strange to think if you've gone into that, like, deep dive about the orphan trains and why there were so many orphans back then. My mom was the first, to start a business to not work in government, because all of her brothers and sisters worked in government. She broke a lot of chains there and paved paths that helped me, that would set me on my path to being a business owner, an entrepreneur. And my mom was the person that had so much energy and always could get things done. She was like very lively and extroverted, even though she didn't really like any big social events. Like, she wasn't the type of person that wanted to go mingle and go to parties. Like, she just wanted to do things with business. My parents had that successful restaurant in downtown Annapolis. And then through that restaurant, my mom opened a catering business, and she was very successful with the catering business. She did catering in Washington, D.C., which was only 30 minutes from Annapolis. And she did a lot of big jobs for politicians like Ted Kennedy, and she was really good at that. And after they sold the restaurant, then my dad convinced her, we need to go to the Caribbean. We can open an Airbnb there. We can live this like club paradise. Have you seen that movie with Robin Williams? You could live that type of life in the Caribbean. And so my mom went along with it. And one of her regrets, looking back, I know, is that she didn't sell that catering business, because she could have sold it. And I think that's just something that she overlooked, because she had all the contacts. And so, as I talked about in that live stream before, my life on this island, and my mom went out and got a job, even though she didn't speak French. She went and worked at a hotel because my dad wasn't sending any money. When we went back to Maryland and we're living in this toxic home that was under renovation, there was a really dark atmosphere in this house. My mom knew that she needed to provide for her kids, so she went out and she got a job at the Marriott as a manager. I think she worked 2 jobs. She worked like all the time, so she was gone a lot of the times while my dad was trying to finish up renovating the house. My mom was always like a moral person and always wanted to do things the right way. So when my dad would steal license plates from other people's cars and put them on our car so they wouldn't be repossessed, I remember my mom just like losing her mind and being so angry and so upset. My mom had a big temper, and my dad used that because he was really passive aggressive, and it was like that's where he got his narcissistic supply from my mom's emotions. And she married my dad when she was 19. She was really young. She was 24 when she had my sister and 27 when she had me. Dealing with my dad, I think that really nearly broke her, or it should have broken her, but she didn't. And when they lost the house, my dad wanted to go live with his mom, and he wanted my mom to go live with her mom, and he lived with his mom, but my mom couldn't live with her mom because of my uncle. My uncle was there, and he was really toxic, especially the last year or so of his life. My mom, she faced a lot of hardships, and she was an overcomer, and she loved to be busy. She was never the type of person that wanted just to stay home and just be a housewife. When George came into our life, he rescued us basically, because we were living in this house where we couldn't afford the heat. We had like heating units in the bedrooms to keep the bedrooms warm. We were barely getting by. We didn't have enough money for food. She did make my dad come and build a garden, and he built like a big tomato garden, so we had endless amounts of tomatoes. And then my grandparents, they helped when they could, because they would bring us groceries. Since they were veterans, they had access to the PX, or the commissary, where they would get cheaper groceries, and they would just come. And I remember being so excited when they would come, and the trunk was full of groceries, ramen noodles, like cheap stuff, but we had food to eat. When George came into our life, he was a businessman. He had nursing homes, and our life completely changed. And we were living in a nice house and we would go skiing on the weekends, and my mom tried to help him. She really wanted to help him in his business because, you know, she had identified as a businesswoman. My mom was very proud, I would say, in a good way. Like, she never wanted to take any assistance from the government. She said she would rather work really hard than like taking government welfare. And not that there, you know, there's people that definitely need welfare, but my mom had talents and abilities, so she didn't feel right taking that. And there was one time we were on food stamps, and she used it one time, and she gave the register lady, checkout lady, the food stamps, and she felt so ashamed using these food stamps that she was like, no, I'm never going to use this again. And I guess she just had higher dreams and aspirations, and she didn't want to get stuck in that. So I think that mindset, you know, helped her attract someone like George and helped us like get out of that like horrible like life where it was so stressful. My mom had to work so hard. You know, after that, you know, we moved to the Eastern Shore of Maryland, and then my dad continued to make my parents' life a living hell. Then they moved to Miami, and George started practicing law. My mom didn't want to just stay home in Miami. She went out and got her real estate license and started doing that. And then they moved to New Orleans, and my mom started doing real estate in New Orleans. And I think she got a job at an antique store, and they didn't treat her really nicely. And she just walked out that day. She was like, I don't need to work here. She just left. I think she was definitely going through some menopausal issues because she was very like up and down in her emotions. And my mom wasn't really so in touch with her body, and she never would talk about something like that. I think that's definitely like how boomers were, right? But when I wanted to leave New Orleans and move and start my life over again and start an import business, she was so excited about it, and she was encouraged me, and she was like, go back to Thailand and go be with your Thai boyfriend. And you know, like when I became really religious and found Jesus, I was like, Mom, that wasn't really the right thing to do, you know. But now I'm like, no, it was the right thing to do. Like if I had stayed in Maryland or in New Orleans, it would have been so horrible. Like I had to get out of this toxic relationship. My mom always supported us in our dreams and whatever we wanted to do. She was like, whatever you wanted, it didn't matter what. She was like, do it, as long as, you know, as it was moral, like, you know, for the most part, moral. Like she would never want us to break the law, get into trouble, or do anything that was unethical. And she was my role model. She, as soon as we had that idea for the import business, she started researching, and she did all the work with it. And then I was just like the backup help. And she was so excited the first day we came to Thailand, or she came to Thailand to meet me, and she was so excited about shopping, and we had no money back then. And George had done some law case, and he gave her $1,000 to go buying, and I had $1,000, and that's what we put into our clothing business. It started out as an import business. It became a clothing business. And before that, when we were in New Orleans, she got into like theater. She was always a theater person, and she was doing some theater, and she went on tour for even a little bit. And she also started becoming a producer of a cartoon called Elephant Gerald, and her dream was to take this cartoon, and she actually did go to Hollywood, and she pitched this cartoon of Elephant Gerald to the Hollywood producers. And she was there with her friend Brenda, who was this lady who had the most amazing gospel voice, and her other friend Terry, who knew about the business, who lived in Hollywood. And they pitched this cartoon to the Hollywood producers, and the producers were like, wow, that was honestly the best pitch we have ever seen. But you know what? Hollywood doesn't like jazz, and they didn't end up picking up that project. But my mom just was like, I'm a producer now. She identified with whatever dream she had, she identified that with her, and she was able to make it happen. And it was just like the clothing business. Like there's so many things that you could think of that could go wrong. There's so many challenges and hurdles to get over, but because my mom didn't overthink about stuff, she just did it. She was able to accomplish it. And that's the thing about believing yourself, and why I use the analogy of the talents, of the guy who buried his talents. Because you would bury your talents and what God has given you because of fear and because you don't believe in yourself. Where my mom, wasn't like the smartest person. There's some people who are very intelligent, very high IQ, but then they really don't do much with their life. And that's because they overthink things. And overthinking and perfectionism is destroys productivity. And my mom was just like, okay, we're just going to do it. And then we'll see what happens and we'll get better at it. And that's what she taught me. And I'm so grateful for the path that she paved for me with business and with the mindset that you can do anything you put your mind to, and to follow your dreams, because our dreams, I know, are from God. I focus on God. I believe in God, and God led me to also learn about and pray for wisdom, and to pray for an encounter with the 7 spirits of the Lord, one of them being wisdom. The other ones are understanding, might, counsel, fear of the Lord. I don't know if I'm naming them all. But the spirit of wisdom has benefited me so much and has helped me in my pursuit of posting videos, because I didn't know how to do YouTube. My mom was so proud of me for being able to create videos, and then being able to stick with it long enough for it to go viral, because nobody else believed in me. Nobody. Watt was so angry that I was filming, and I kept telling him, this will make us money one day. And my mom just kept saying, keep posting, keep posting. She was the only one that encouraged me. She was my encourager. And so when I lost her, it was so devastating. But now I know, I have to be my own encourager, and God has prepared me for this. And I had a wonderful mom who left this inheritance for me, and an inheritance that's not financial, an inheritance of a mindset that I can do and I can accomplish, and to believe in my dreams. And our dreams are sent by God, and God uses your abilities, and God uses your gift in business to help people, to change people's lives, so I can afford to travel, so I can afford to meet people, so I can afford to spread the message of the gospel. My mom always believed in God. She never worshiped any other gods like me. I didn't fall into Hinduism, but she also wasn't really into self-development like I am, or she wasn't very introspective. She was just go, go, go. After all of the shame and the bankruptcy with my dad, there was a period where she was really bitter and I think angry at God. And I remember her telling me that she would cry herself to sleep every night. And in New Orleans, she went through a really hard time. It was a hard time after my dad passed away. It was like everything got uprooted. There was a lot of bitterness and anger towards my dad from my mom. And when he passed away, it was like a shock to all of us. It made me angry at my mom. My mom was angry at me for, trying to take care of my dad when he was sick. She felt like we kind of betrayed her, and we were all going through our own issues after my dad died. It was the darkest time of all of our lives. I chose to go into the New Age and into yoga and to heal myself on my own. And my mom got back into faith. George took her to church. They started going to church, and they both got baptized together. And then she got really into God, and she was trying to tell me about God, and she wanted me to go to church, but I refused. I was so stubborn. And then she came with me to a yoga class, even though she didn't want to. And I could really see how God changed her, which was, it left an imprint in me, because she really wasn't the same woman after she got baptized. But the seeds of faith didn't really grow deep. She wasn't the biggest Bible reader. She didn't really go to church all the time, but she produced so much fruit because she had so much peace. She had so much optimism and so much joy, and she was a very different person. And I did see that in her, where my path of going into the New Age, I actually became darker and became way more angry, from chanting to Shiva. And so finally, like, I realized, like, what my mom has, I want to have. Even though she didn't push her faith on me, she didn't witness to me, she didn't evangelize to me, it was the change in her that really helped me to see that Jesus Christ is Lord and he is the way, because she has become a better person where I've become a worse person. So I'm grateful that she did help lead me to the Lord in a very unconventional way. And Mom, I know you're listening. I know you're here with me in my heart, and I love you so much. And I thank you so much for everything you've given me, that you've given me such a wonderful inheritance. And I just love you, and I can't wait to see you in heaven again. And I know that you tried your best, and I see things in such a different light now that you're gone. And I can understand so much more about how hard you had it. And I wish I had had more compassion and empathy when you were alive. And I know that you would say that I did so well the last 2 years of your life, and that I really encouraged you. And I'm so privileged to have been there for you before you were sick, even to be there to help you rest when you would come to Thailand, to help you have faith, deeper faith. And when you did get sick, I was there for you, helping you as much as I could, praying with you. And I know that helped you so much. And even having Luke there, bringing Luke and having a child in there in that situation lightened everything, and we had hope. And that's what we're called to do as believers, to pray for healing and believe. And that's what I did. And it didn't work out the way I wanted it to, and that's okay, because I trust God and I trust the plan. And your soul did just what you were supposed to do, Mom. You accomplished every mission God put you on, and I'm so proud of you, Mom. And I could know that you passed in peace. There was so much peace in that house when I left, and I said our final goodbyes. So I love you so much, Mom. And I wish I could give you a big hug right now. But I'm gonna be okay because of what you did for me. I'm gonna be great, and our family's gonna be great and stronger than ever. God bless you guys all for listening. And Mom, may you rest, and may you fly high and enjoy heaven. God bless you all. Mom's made lots of friends too, right?
I make friends wherever I go. Sometimes.
Don't you feel like you've made more friends because I've opened the restaurant?
Yes, but I was been hanging out at your restaurant for all these years, except for the last 3 when it was closed. So I love sitting there.
Yeah, but before we would sit there, you wouldn't make so many friends there.
All of a sudden people just come in and talk to us all night long.
Yeah.
We just sit there and talk and eat. We met some very nice people. Most of them are living here and some are tourists, so it's fun.